This episode of the Sloopcast is brought to you by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. The Mad Canadian Barbecue Company is an Ohio-based company where they usually say our seasoning will take your barbecue from good to great. Great seasonings such as the Four Horsemen, the Savory, the Coffee and Q, and our beloved Kyion Steak. You can't go wrong with any of those great seasonings and much more over at the MadCanadianBBQ.com. Again, that is the MadCanadianBBQ.com. While you're there, be sure to use that promo code SloopCast10 at checkout for 10% your entire order. Again, that is SloopCast10. While you're at it, if you are in mainly the northwest part of Ohio, be sure to check out the Mad Canadian social media sites to see where he and his food trucks are heading to next. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where they have your butt covered.
This episode of the Sloopcast is also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. The Iron Bean Coffee Company is a premium small batch micro roaster. They roast your beans to order. They're veteran owned. They're Ohio based. If I didn't say that already, they're in the Toledo area. Once again, doing everything right. It's a company based on integrity. Their beans are fair trade certified. They don't roast your beans until you order them, so you get the freshest beans possible. They're USDA certified organic. They do the right thing even when no one's making them do it, because that's what integrity is. There's a company that does everything right, unlike some Cleveland-based breweries who we will not speak of, who are doing things very, very wrong. Some of their flavors are available in K-Cup. You get free shipping over $50. Gift cards are available. And like I said, you can, by the way, you can also save money on subscribe and save services if you do find that one coffee that just hits the right spot for you. So you can find all of that at ironbeancoffee.com. Once again, that is Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster. I was mentally prepared to do Mad Canadian, Kyle.
Like to mix it up. Mix it up there for you.
You threw that audible at me without saying anything.
How's it going, YouTube? How's it going, our Discord on this lovely Sunday evening?
Yes, well, it'd be a lot more lovely had Ohio State not look like complete garbage. But we're going to get into that. Once again, I have the sound mixer, or the sound noise. What's the word I'm looking for? Background noise reducer on. I don't think this is going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway.
I heard the original.
Just a little bit.
Just the original.
This is a Jackie O's. This is a Who Cooks For You.
Nice.
I think this is maybe my favorite pale ale of all the pale ales, which is saying something because I do like a pale ale.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into it, Jared.
We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Oh, I am all right over here.
Are you sure?
Are you
sure
really.
You're all right?
Not really.
Right.
It's a Buckeye basketball on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah.
No, not well. Not well.
Not doing all right. Not doing all right.
But let's start things off positive, shall we? How about we talk about some Ohio State football recruiting news?
Yes, let's do that. We're going to get positive, then we're going to get negative, then we're going to tweak it back towards positive just a little bit. But first, the positive. Ohio State gets, Kyle, get this, a top flight wide receiver recruit. Hold the press.
No.
Brian Hartline doing work again? Kyion Grayes. His name's Grayes.
Four-star wide receiver out of Arizona. He is currently, per the composite, the 17th best wide receiver and the second best athlete in that state of Arizona.
Kyle, dad is a former Arizona State football player. Mom, former Arizona State track star. Comes to Ohio State. That's got to be a good sign, right? It's got to be a good sign.
It kind of makes you think about.
Makes you think he really wanted to come to Ohio State, because it seems like the cards were stacked, much like with Zeke in Missouri.
Exactly what I was thinking with Zeke. Both of his parents were athletes
at Missouri.
And hey, got to get them once in a while here. But yeah, a really great, just another addition to an already just overpacked group here.
Well, you say overpacked, but this is a 2022 kid, which is, we're past National Signing Day. The 2022 kids are now the current recruiting class.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, he'll be walking into a training camp where the two starters will both be gone.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have three amazing players ready to take over in Fleming. You guys know. You have those, but they'll all be in their last year of, not last year of eligibility, but theoretically speaking, you know what I'm trying to say. Theoretically speaking, any one or more of those guys could leave for the NFL after that year. So he could be looking at a sophomore season in which the wide receiver room just got emptied out huge over the past two seasons.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
We say overpacked, but Ohio State's not keeping all these guys for 5 years. We won't keep most of them for 4. Won't keep any of them for 5. Won't keep most of them for 4. And a few of them are going to leave after 3.
Yeah, well, we still won't turn down a great athlete in Mr. Grayes here.
And as always, guys transfer, guys bust, guys, you never know. So you acquire talent. Never worry about having too much talent. Never ever worry about that. It will work itself out. It always does.
Yep. So what have you understand with Kyion here? What makes him so special, and why should Buckeye Nation be excited for him?
Just outside the 24/7 proper rankings, their proper rankings, just outside the top 100, a little bit lower in the composite at 127. Top 20 wide receiver in the country, second best player, I think, as you stated, in the entire state of Arizona, which is a state that is producing more and more high school talent. Smaller guy, shiftier guy, maybe a guy who you look at more in a slot type role, but I feel like that's not as much of a thing as it used to be, where it's just like the big guys are on the outside and the small shifty guys are on, I feel like that's going by the wayside. So he's a good wide receiver, and that's all it sort of breaks down as. He's a good wide receiver. And if Ohio State is willing to take a wide receiver this early in the recruiting cycle, because we're once again, Kyle, early in the recruiting cycle, I would imagine that they like him a lot. That this, with the amount of talent that they're pursuing at the wide receiver position, with the amount of talent that they already have at the wide receiver position, they can just pick and choose exactly who they want. So if they're picking Grayes, I'm sure at this point, I think you have to learn to trust the coaching staff.
Yep, exactly. So going back to the 2021 recruiting class here, JTT.
Yeah.
Not really much news since last time we talked about JTT.
Surprised you're bringing him up right now.
But I mean, there's still talks that he's still waiting.
Yeah.
He's still waiting to commit. He's really wanting to visit campus, really want to see what it's like before making his decision, which I can't blame him. I can't blame him.
You're the best player in the country. You're the best player in your recruiting class. You kind of get to call your own shots.
Exactly. Yeah. So it still may be a while until we hear anything from JTT, but we do see that he is coming to Columbus. That's going to be a really good sign for Buckeye Nation.
He's in the class. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
One of the other reasons why he's able to play this game is because the people in the Woody Hayes feel very good that he is in fact coming to Columbus. And just because he hasn't announced it to the public yet doesn't mean it's not. He's coming to Ohio State. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What else we got in the recruiting news here, Jared?
Bad news. We had talked a little bit about Will Johnson. He is incredible corner. Either in or just outside the top 5, depending upon who you ask. He is from Grosse Pointe, Michigan. He is an incredibly talented corner. The composite has him just outside the top 10 players overall. The 24/7 Sports proper has him a little bit further back, but it's he's committed to Michigan. And it seemed like for a real long time that it was a foregone conclusion he was going to Ann Arbor. That was a foregone conclusion. Then there appeared to have been some weakness, some hesitation, as you know, he saw a lot of the defensive coaching staff move on. They got fired. They went elsewhere. And so that of course causes hesitation. The people who you have a relationship with are now gone. So that potentially opened the door for other programs, Ohio State maybe chief among them, to come into the picture. And it looked like this foregone conclusion of him going to Ann Arbor was wide. It would not quite so foregone. But he does end up committing to Michigan. I'll say this. I still feel more confident about him ending up in Ohio State's class right now. I feel better about that happening right now than I did 2 or 3 months ago. Yeah. Even with him committed to Michigan, I feel less sure about his future in Michigan now, even with, like I said, even with a commitment on the books, than I did 3 months ago, where it just felt like, yeah, of course he's going to Michigan. Shut up. Now it's like, I'm still going to keep an eye on Will Johnson. I'm not closing the door on this recruitment quite yet.
Yep, exactly.
All right, Kyle, it's time to talk some basketball. It's not been great. This hasn't been great. The last time we talked, we were fresh off a loss against Michigan. And since then, they lost a real stinker to Michigan State. They didn't have Kyle Young, but I'm not going to give them that pass. And then we're fresh off of their loss to Iowa. The defense is still looking like the defense looks. It's not a great defense. It's just there's too many big players down in the paint in the Big Ten that Ohio State just doesn't have a guy to match up with. And that's just going to hurt Ohio State. And that's just a reality of where Ohio State is this season. And we've talked about it before, but we have to mention it again. It has to be said. So the defense is just never going to be great. But their offense has sort of fallen apart lately.
It has. They scored 67 points against Michigan State on Thursday. They lose to Michigan State 71-67. And the big key stat here, Jared, 4 for 14 behind the arc.
Yeah. And they had a good game shooting the 3 against Michigan, but that was a very closely contested game against a really good opponent. Michigan State is, it's still Michigan State, but this isn't the Michigan State that we're used to seeing. So this is a team that Ohio State should have beaten. They fail to shoot 3-pointers and they lose to, let's just say it, an inferior opponent. Again, against Iowa, terrible game shooting 3s. And they just got run out of their own building. There was a moment there with the third quarter of the game. I know it's college basketball and so on and so forth, but what essentially amounts as the third quarter of the game, they brought it back. They made it interesting, but and why was it interesting during that stretch? Because they were shooting the three and actually making it. Without that, without the threat of a three, Ohio State's just not capable of producing because they're not big enough down low. They need to pull the other team out away from the paint with the threat of their 3-point shot. And without that, they're just an inferior team compared to what they can be.
Yep. It's tough. Like just looking at since Iowa is still fresh in our minds here, there was times that Ohio State looked really good defensively. Just credit to Iowa, they just made the shots when they needed to. But then there was times, especially in the first half and a couple of times in that second half, Ohio State got cold and for long periods of time. And you can't do that moving forward right now. Ohio State cannot afford to have that anymore.
No, they have some time off. They don't play for a while. They don't play for almost 6 days. They don't play for 6 days. They face Illinois on Saturday. And it's time to save the regular season. This was a team that we were talking about 2 episodes ago as a number 1 seed potentially, as a team that could, if the matchups played out right, could make it to the Final Four. This is a team that we said was an Elite 8 team, and it's hard to be that confident with any of those statements right now.
Yep, exactly. I mean, the past 3 games there, yeah. Right now, it's kind of funny that there was a lot of experts saying Ohio State is on that cusp of a 1-2, that like a 1 seed in the tournament. But yet, as of right now, Ohio State is 5th in the Big Ten, which tells you how deep the Big Ten is this year. So as it stands right now, Ohio State would play the winner of Northwestern and Penn State. And then if Ohio State wins, they would play Purdue. So Ohio State does not get that second bye.
Right.
As if they were in one of the top 4 seeds there. So this winning Illinois,
huge.
This is going to be big. This is going to be big there if they want that second bye week. Now, I don't really think it's going to really matter much about Ohio State going from 5th to 4th or something like that. You still end up probably playing Purdue in the end, but you get that extra day of rest,
which I think the team needs. They're a little banged up. Kyle Young, even though he played against Iowa, it was not him. He did not have what was his minutes before I actually say that.
Gotta look it up here.
It's not in our stat line.
No, he was 1 for 4, and he was 1 for 1 beyond the arc there.
He hit Ohio State's first successful 3-pointer in this game.
Only in the first half.
He hit that tells you all you need to know about Ohio State this game. And we can talk about Garza, and Garza's great, but we knew Garza was going to have a good game. Once again, Ohio State doesn't have anyone down low to deal with Garza or the other Garzas that are in this conference. We saw it against Michigan. We saw it again here. But I think Iowa had the game offensively that you expect them to have. Of course, Garza's great. Ohio State doesn't have an answer for Garza. You just have to outscore Iowa like they did when they went to Iowa. That game saw both teams in the 80-point area. Iowa held up their side of the bargain by scoring 73 points. It probably would have got into 80 had the game actually been competitive down the stretch, because Iowa was scoring that well. If the game were competitive, Iowa probably would have scored 80 something. Ohio State only scores 57. Ohio State did not hold up their end of the bargain.
Kyle Young ended up playing for 25 minutes.
Which I would say is low for him. He's typically in the 30s. It's not terribly low. Don't get me wrong. It's not.
There you go. There's the updated for you can look there, Jared.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, yep. Young 25 minutes, Washington 29, which that seems low for Washington, but Little was in there for most of the game, 32 minutes, by far the most of anybody.
Yeah. And Liddell, of course. Yeah. I mean, this is Liddell's team.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, he went 7 for 11 in the game, led the team with 15 points, had 3 rebounds for the game there. But I think the other thing,
he and CJ Walker were really the only, I would say, reliable offensive weapons this game. Problem with CJ Walker is he got into foul trouble early on in the game, and that hurt his minutes.
Yep, and that's why you saw a lot. That's why you saw a lot of minutes from Jallo, which I was surprised we saw a lot of Jallo in this game.
We did.
And Towns and Key. So we got to see a lot of different players coming in, getting some meaningful minutes just because of that.
Yeah, 3 players off of the bench having 10 plus minutes. Seth Towns just under that with 9. Once again, Ohio State's using their bench. But yeah, it wasn't just... I don't think either team played particularly well. I think both of these teams are lesser teams now than when they played in I can never remember. Is it Ames or Iowa City? Which one is which again? It's Ames, right? Yes, it's Ames. I got there. It's fine. When they played in Ames a little while back. Both of those teams were at the height of their power when they played in Ames, Iowa a few weeks back. Mm-hmm. Neither of these teams are at their peak right now, which I think then leads us to the question, Kyle, is Ohio State peaked?
I mean, looking at these last 3 games,
they played well against.
They looked good against Michigan.
They did look good against Michigan. They looked really good against Michigan. They just didn't win. And when you play a top 5 team, sometimes you don't win. That's fine. It's Michigan, so it's not. But you know what I'm saying. But no, these last 2 games, it's been bad.
It's been bad offensively. Yeah, I mean, 57 points and then 67 when Ohio State, was it something like they were 13-1 when they scored more than 71 points. It's something like that. And the one loss was a week ago.
Yeah, it's live by the 3, die by the 3. And I feel like Ohio State's dying by the 3 right now.
Yep, 28% and 29%. Yeah,
you got to be shooting in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. You got to be shooting in the 40s, and they're not. That's where they have to be, because once again, I'm gonna beat this dead horse, Kyle. They don't have size in the paint. They can't get down in there and bang with the Garzas of the world. Mm-hmm. They just don't have that person. He might develop into that guy. He's young. I like said Key. I think he has a good future at Ohio State. He's not that yet. That sucks. We wish he was that right now, but he's not. And he hopefully will get there. He has the potential to get there. I think he very well can get there. Right now, he's not. He saw a lot of time in this game. He saw 12 minutes.
So 2 things. My last comments here regarding to the basketball team, though. 2 things Ohio State
until we get to the questions.
Yeah, 2 things that Ohio State has to improve on here. 1, improve on the 3-point shooting there. Defensively, I think overall, I think Ohio State is fine defensively. I mean, they have their moments here and there, but I think overall, I think Ohio State's defense is fine. But the other thing here, Ohio State has to improve on is turnovers. You look at the Iowa game here. Iowa got to shoot the ball 62 times. Ohio State 51. You only had 51 attempts to shoot the ball. Like you had 11 less attempts than Iowa there. That's pretty significant, honestly. Yeah. And a lot of that is because of the turnovers. 13 13 turnovers, Nomad. And Iowa had 5.
Yeah, and they only had 2 offensive rebounds this game against Iowa. That's
it's kind of hard when you got a guy like Garza who's in there for 38 minutes.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, you're right, but I feel like they still have had more success than you would anticipate given the size that they're giving up, getting rebounds in the past few games. I thought they had a really great rebounding game against Michigan. And once again, there's, not to minimize, but they have a Garza type as well. So yeah, it's only 2 offensive rebounds in a game in which you're not shooting the 3-pointer well. And a 3-pointer's you kind of want to get those rebounds more often than you would a lot of other rebounds. They're just, you got to make the threes is what it boils down to. Arns needs to get out of his slump. He once again only had 1 3 this game. Is that correct, Kyle? Did he finish with 1?
Yes, he did. Yeah, the past few games for him has been really bad here. I look at the past. Let's see if I go to game logs here. The past 3 games here. He just
put up a goose egg against Michigan State.
Yeah, he had 3 points against Iowa, then 0 points against Michigan. And if I
Michigan State,
0 points against Michigan State as well.
Yeah.
So he's
averaging 1 point a game over the past 3
double
games.
Figures was against Maryland back in pretty much the 1st of February.
Yeah.
He's in a pretty big slump here.
Yes. There's no other way of saying it. That's a guy who you're expecting to get 3-pointers from, and you aren't getting them. Period.
Yep.
All right. Let's do a quick. No, it's too early for that. It's too early for the ad reads. Let's get a couple basketball questions, and then we'll hit up an ad read somewhere in between them.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's start from the top here. Nomad asks, is Sparty the easiest Big Ten team to hate when you're playing them and the easiest to forget when you aren't?
I mean, that applies to this season. I don't know if I want to make that like an overarching grand statement, but yeah, they're kind of a forgettable team this year, but when you're actually on the court with them, they're still Sparty. Basketball or football, he clarifies. No, I've never really hated their football program. Nomad's in the chat.
And I never really hate, for say, Sparty's basketball team either.
Ooh. Get a little Southern on that team.
Yeah, on that team. For me, the easiest Big Ten team to hate when we're playing them, honestly, for me in basketball, it's probably Wisconsin.
Yeah. There's a lot to that. I feel like IU is just always there though, because they're just right there, and there's the Bobby Knight stuff. And if you're old enough to remember that, I know you are, Nomad. You're an old man, but if you guys take shots at me, I'm gonna take shots back. It's just that simple. I was, I think, always in the forefront of our mind. I almost feel like they're more of a Michigan to us in basketball than Michigan is. That was true at one point. I don't know if it reigns true in 2021, but there was certainly a point in time in which that was true.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But to answer your question, in basketball, yes. In football, not really. To answer your question. This one's from Gangland. Can we start the petition to get Gus Johnson back on March Madness games? I don't know. Is Fox going to loan him out to because Fox doesn't do that. I don't know. I've always wanted, and like, I know we all have mixed feelings, Kirk Herbstreit. All I ever want, I don't care if they're both well past their prime and geezerly, I don't care. All I have ever wanted is Gus Johnson doing the play-by-play and Herbstreit doing the color commentary. That is all I've ever wanted. And as much as that's not what you asked me, that is the answer I'm getting. But yeah, I'll take Gus Johnson on my television whenever I can get Gus Johnson on my television. Yeah, so yeah, start the petition. The petition's not going to get you anywhere, but start it.
Yeah, we can start one. Yeah, I remember listening to some like old, especially in like the mid 2000s runs with Ohio State, just listening to some of the Gus Johnson play-by-play there.
Yeah, I think he's great on basketball.
He's always entertaining.
I think he's great on basketball. Fantastic on basketball.
He's great anywhere, honestly. Jimmy Jackson, I can't remember where Jimmy's at.
I think he's still on CBS.
Is he?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up, Kyle.
Look it up.
Quick here.
I don't think my claps come through anymore, Kyle. This is a sad day. I just realized.
Oh, dang.
You lose things when you upgrade with your noise canceling technology. Sometimes you lose the little things. All right. While you're looking that up, Nomad asks, and this is in the wake of the Michigan State game, he asks this question: is it possible to beat a team and bad officials in the same game? Yes, it is possible. You need to make your 3-point shots in order to do that. However, the answer to that question, if you're making your 3-pointers, but otherwise, no. They should have never been that close with this Michigan State team for the refs to matter. You know, it's sort of like if you compare and contrast the two Clemson games, the two playoff games against Clemson these past 2 years. Ohio State was so far up on Clemson and beating Clemson so badly that a bad ref call here or there wouldn't have mattered. A bad ref call the year before or two hurt Ohio State tremendously. So yeah, you can beat bad officiating. It's a thing that works against you or for you for that matter. But it's possible. Of course it's possible.
I can't remember who owns this station, but he is currently Jim Jackson is currently on the Big East network.
Oh, really?
He's also, I think it might be Fox then, because it also has on here. He's also a Fox Sports 1 network NBA analyst.
So there you go. He's with Fox. He's with Fox Sports 1 and apparently the Big East network, which I think it's a decent guess. That's a Fox property, a Fox Sports property, that is.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. Question here from Nomad. I think this is regarding to the Michigan State game.
You know what? We can do that. But I think we need to do an ad read first.
All right, sure. All right, let's hear from our good friend, the Mad Canadian. Mad Canadian's been a great sponsor for us for the past
year plus.
Longer than a year.
Yeah, year plus.
Yeah. Be sure to check out some of those great packages that the Mad Canadian has. The Just Send It, which is a great just introductory to his seasonings, has the S&P Bud, that Snore and Heat, the Cajun, and the smoked, which is just you get all the great flavors. It's just a great variety pack. Or one of my favorites, the Sweet Heat, or I like to call it the Wing Set. It's the Four Horsemen, his hottest seasoning. The Discord, which is the second hottest.
Yeah, I'd say they're tied.
Okay. And then you have the Two Border and the Old Fashioned. Or if you're not sure which one to get, or if you're just not sure of hand-picking all the seasonings he has, just get that whole hog. Get that whole hog package, which is one of each of the seasonings over at the Mad Canadian BBQ. MadCanadianBBQ.com. Again, that is the MadCanadianBBQ.com. You can also save 10% more once you use that promo code SloopCast10. Again, SloopCast10 at checkout for 10% off that entire order. Be sure to also check out that Mad Canadian's social media to check out where he and his food truck are heading to next. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where he has your butt covered.
This episode of the Sloopcast is also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. Kyle recently re-upped on some Iron Bean coffee. And the one I'm drinking right this second is the drink from the skull of your enemy. The website describes it as a traditional Indonesian coffee that is edgier and smokier. It's thick, creamy, chocolatey with notes of strong cedar, sweet tobacco, wine, and spice. And I must say, that is accurate. It's real good. It's real good. Now I'd say there's been one, and I'm not going to name it because I don't want to. There's been one where I was like, this one's okay. I'm not going to name it, and it wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong by any means. It was still very good. It's just by the high standard that I fully say that it was just my taste, and it wasn't that the coffee was bad. It was just not my preference. But that I've tried, close to all of them at this point, and there's been like one. All the other ones at this point are somewhat tied for my favorite. Which one is that I'm drinking now? Oh, that is the drink from the skull of your enemy. That one's great. That's the one I'm drinking right now, and it's amazing. He says like sweet tobacco, wine, spice, notes of cedar. Like that's a dead-on description, and it's so good. It is just amazing. I love every part of it. It's the beans are incredibly dark and shiny. It grinds really well, which I know is maybe, he says, Nomad says he has a bag of the Fierce coming and he can't wait. I've had the Fierce. It's good. It's one of my favorites. They're all great except for that one, but I'm going to keep that to myself. Again, it wasn't bad. It's just my preference. But yeah, they're all tremendous. You can find the one that's right for you buying a sampler. They have a new, I forget what that's called, but you can basically get one of each of the flavors. You can go find it on the website. It's essentially like a big old sampler thing. And I think, is this a look it up, Kyle, look it up situation? I think it is. He's going to look up the name of that for me. But you can try all of the coffees for yourself. You can find that package at ironbeancoffee.com. Kyle, what's it called? Oh, he wasn't there yet. I gave him too much credit that he was going to get there in a timely fashion. He's not quite there yet. You know what, Kyle? We'll let you know on the third ad read what that's called. You can go to ironbeancoffee.com on your own time and figure it out for yourself. Oh, Kyle's got it. I know that face. Kyle's got
shebang sampler.
The whole shebang. It's called the whole shebang. You can try all of them. In fact, the next time I make an order, that's probably going to be it, because there are a few of them that have escaped me so far. So I'm probably going to get a whole shebang next time I re-up. And also, like, if you're not a frequent coffee drinker, that's a great way to keep your coffee like individually wrapped and fresh, and you can try them all yourself. So I think that's just a freaking win right there, in my opinion. So you can find all of that and more at ironbeancoffee.com. That's Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster.
All right, let's get into some more of our Ask Sloopcast questions.
Yeah, we got some more
basketball us off
ones.
Again here. We have Nomad. Is it possible to be a team and have bad officials?
Oh, we already did that one. That's one we just did.
Yes.
This one
is difficult.
This one from Buckeye Zach, also in the wake of the Michigan State game. A lot of people very upset about the officiating, especially at the end, and you're right to be. Again, we don't like to argue about referees on this show. That's not a thing we do. We don't like commenting on it. But sometimes it needs said.
But Jared,
for the sake of the Michigan State game, sometimes it needs said.
There was a reason why Holtman got 2 technicals in that game.
Yeah.
And how often do you see Holtman getting technicals? Not often.
No, yeah, that's the thing. We don't talk about refs hardly ever on this show. It's by policy. We don't talk about officiating. It's cheap Bottom barrel analysis. So when we do break that rule and talk about the officiating, that it's earned because we never do it. So it's bad when the Sloopcast is talking about the officiating. And the same way that it's bad when Holtman's picking up technicals because he's not that guy. We mentioned Bobby Knight earlier in the show. He's not Bobby Knight. He's not that guy. He's not I'm going to go get a technical just to prove something. He's not that guy. In the same way we don't ever talk about officiating, Holtman's not that guy. So when it happens, it actually does mean something. And for the sake of the Michigan State game, it meant something. I don't know if I answered your question. No one's paying anyone off. Some people are just bad at their jobs. Refs aren't, I don't want to say never, because basketball, and we have at least seen one instance of that in the NBA, but it was gamblers. It wasn't the league, which is a huge difference. But no, I refuse to believe ever that a game is being fixed by the institutions at play.
Oh, this next one here, Jared. Again, this is after the Sparty loss. He says after two.
And this is Buckeye Zach again.
Yep. After two back-to-back losses and very closely contested games, where we saw how size has harmed us in the rebound game. We simply gave up way too many offensive rebounds. What do you think the Buckeyes can do to minimize the offensive boards for opponents? Or rebound in general?
You lack the size in the paint. I think they rebound really well considering the size that they don't have, and considering, again, we look at the rebounds against Iowa. They gave up 4 more offense. So they were behind the offensive rebounds by 2, but they only gave up 6. It's not a ton of offensive rebounds to give up. And as far as the defensive rebounds, they won that battle. Considering the size, they won the battle by 1. Let's be fair. They won it by 1 rebound. But considering the size that they give up, considering that you are going against a guy like Garza, who's great. He's an amazing basketball player. You have no one to match up against him. You lost the rebound battle by 3 rebounds. The numbers were similar against Michigan. Again, giving up huge size in the middle, and they went toe-to-toe with Michigan rebounding. Do we want to win the rebound battles? Yeah, of course. Of course. That goes without saying. The rebounds against Michigan State were worse. They lost that battle by quite a lot. They lost that one by 7, which is ironic because Michigan State doesn't have what you would call a true center either, although they have some really nice forwards.
I think Holtman said it best after the presser for the Iowa game. He just isn't seeing that fire, that energy that he has been seeing all year up until recently. And he pretty much took blame for it, said, hey, it's on coaches as well. We got to find a way to get our players involved.
I'll say that I'm very happy. I'm very happy that this team is going to go 6 games without playing a game. I think they need it. Kyle Young.
And this was very tough games. And we talked about it too. Like, look at the level of competition Ohio State played at the end of the season. And we talked about it earlier on and in the beginning of February too. This is a tough stretch for Ohio State.
Yeah.
So any rest that Ohio State can get, and that's why getting that 2-round bye is even more critical for Ohio State, just to get that extra rest to try to get healthier. As it stands, as of right now, they only have that 1 week bye.
So yeah, but to go back to Buckeye Zach's question, I think they're doing really good in their rebounds considering.
I think they're fine. I think they're fine overall.
Consider
I really do.
Adjusted for, again, what they are giving up in the paint against a lot of these opponents.
Yep.
Nomad asks, what tourney seed, and he asked this after the after the Iowa game. What tournament seed do you expect Ohio State to get now? So this is, we were talking about them potentially as a number 1 seed. And since then, they've dropped 3 in a row. So you win you beat, let me ask you this, best case scenario, they beat Illinois, they win the Big Ten tournament. Is it possible that they work their way back up into number 1 seed territory? Winning the Big Ten tournament would be a huge feather in their cap. That's a huge resume item. Best case scenario, they win the rest of the regular season games, they win the Big Ten tournament. Number 1 seed?
They get a 1 seed. Yeah, they would get a 1 seed. They would probably get that fourth number 1 seed. Because I think right now,
yeah. That's right as good. Now, that's the ceiling. Number 4 overall is the ceiling.
Last number 1 seed. I think right now they're at like middle 2. I think they're like a middle 2 there.
They went from a 1-2 bubble and now they're like a 2-3 bubble.
I want to say a 3 at this point. Now, if they just lose the first game or even not making it to the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament, they could probably be pushing to a 3.
Yeah, well, I think that's what I don't mean right now. I mean, it's possible for them to work their way down to a 3.
Yeah, I think at this point, 2-3 is.
Could they fall flat on their face hard enough to fall down to a 4th seed? Or are they, or is basement 3 at this point?
Depends on how bad they look.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a trio, at least. I think a trio of questions from Austin Formation, our good friend Austin Graham. What needs to be done to stop this skid? I think make 3-pointers, I think is the sentiment Kyle and I have been repeating this game. Because a center is not walking through the door. Yeah, a true center is not walking through the door. If Zed Key automatically got a year older and a year bigger, but I don't think that's realistic. Go find one of those big machines and only wish to go ahead about 1 year. That would be great, but that's not real life. So right now with the pieces they have, you got to make more threes.
Yep.
You got to be making like bottom line 44% of your threes.
Yeah. Has Holtman lost his shot at Coach of the Year? It's more difficult. I wouldn't say it's out, but it's becoming less likely as the losses come in.
Yeah. Yes. Way to go, Kyle. I
think if he wins the Big Ten tournament, he's right there in the talks.
Yeah, I think so too. So it's not over. He's dug a hole for himself, but it's not over.
Mm-hmm. Which Ohio State player needs to step up most for Ohio State to get back to mid-season form? I look at this here. Washington needs to shoot a little bit better. It's not the Washington. We saw Washington shoot pretty well,
but it's Arns.
It is Arns. Yes,
we say they need to make 3-pointer. We need to make more 3-pointers. Was kind of been the thing of this entire show. Who's supposed to be making those threes? Who's only hit 1 3 during this skid? And I hate to single out someone like that, but I would be treating you like stupid children if I didn't say Arns. It's simple. They need to make threes. He's a guy who specializes in making threes. He's not making threes. Nomad says he's not getting the play set up for him. Potentially, maybe defenses are keying on him harder. It is all EJ and DW. But those guys doing the work should open things up for Arns. Because he's just a catch and shoot guy. He's not a make his own opportunity guy. He's a catch and shoot guy. in the same way Diebler was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, Diebler, he got open. Like he moved around a lot better, and he got himself open. So part of it is Arns getting himself open.
Yeah, well, that's all, it's, yeah, I guess. Well, and this is telling. Nomad's next question is, where did Arns disappear to? Not the 3-point line.
He disappeared on the bench is what happened.
He's still pulling in minutes.
He is.
All right, another one from Austin. If you're able to start the game as a starting point guard and get a fair number of minutes, how many points would you have dropped against Iowa? Me? This guy? This sack of water? 0. I would score 0 points. And I can tell you for a fact that I would score 0 points because I'd never shoot. Because no, I shouldn't be shooting. I shouldn't be on the court, but if I have to be on the court, if the premise of your question is that I am there on the court, then I will know my role and pass the rock because I have no business taking a shot.
I agree.
No, wait a minute. Are you answering for yourself or for me?
Yes.
Okay, that's the answer I expected.
All right.
Nomad said simple offense equals simple defense. Negative? Positive? I assume he's asking negative or positive. Do you agree? Oh, negative scoring? If I could somehow break mathematical law and score negative points, yes, I would. You know what I do because I'm a good Buckeye? Here's what I do because I'm a good Buckeye. I go out there, I start the game, I immediately turn my ankle, which is to say I would fake an injury. Now, that feels like it goes against all of the rules of what it is to be a good sport, to fake an injury. That's a thing you don't do. But I'm a good Buckeye, and I need to get myself the hell off that court and put someone out there. I make it in the wrong basket.
I would think like negative scoring, you could also take that as turnovers too. You turn the ball over, that's kind of negative scoring. You turn the ball over and then they get an easy layup or a dunk.
That's true. I'm getting injured in the first 20 seconds of the game though. That's what's happening.
I'll take as many charges as I can.
I feel like even if I did that, I would just end up fouling out, which again is which is still way better than me getting a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle.
Anything else basketball? Because the rest of these questions here we have are non-basketball related.
Yeah, and we should try and lightning round our way through them.
All right. I gotta make this bigger, Jared. I cannot read this.
Oh, that's not gonna work.
From Kabuto.
I know you're having trouble reading that, so let me just summarize it for you.
Sure.
He basically says, over the past 2 years, anytime Fields got hurt, he had to hold his breath. Will we feel better about that moving forward now that the quarterback room for Ohio State is so much deeper?
No, you still will. No. You still will hold your breath just because whoever's going to be starting is starting for a reason.
He's starting for a reason. Now, that being said, Ohio State hasn't had a backup as good as who their backup's going to be this year in a very long time. Not since Joey Burrow was riding the pine has Ohio State have had as good a backup as they will this year. Yeah, whoever that backup is, it'll be the best backup they've had. What's that?
JT and Cardale.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, they're just Martell. Don't.
Four strikes.
But yeah, no, they'll have the best backup they possibly have ever had. They'll have their deepest room because even with Kyle McCord as a true freshman, I'd still rather have him in the game over, no offense, Chug, but over Chug.
Yeah. But either way, to answer your question, I'd still be holding my breath.
Yeah,
still
he's still your starting quarterback, but you could be a little less upset now. Nomad asks, can we start a petition to get David Pollock fired for being boring, annoying, misogynist? I don't know specifically what you're referring about with the last part, but just for generally being like a bore. Yeah. I don't know how he's on the game day set other than maybe boring's what they're going for. Like he's bland and inoffensive. And when you have, his comments a few years ago about Kyion Grayes. Yeah, I'm not going near any of that.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of David Pollock either. Just yeah, sure. Let's start a petition.
Yeah, he's like
start one.
To put this into beer. He's like a Kolsch. Okay, it's a beer, but whatever. Someone liked that. Someone out there really liked that reference.
All right, Kabuto. Another question: what was your favorite play on offense and defense from 2020? Consider highlights, but also just also personal faves.
You have one play from the 2020 football season that sticks out in your mind, Kyle, offense or defense? Any one play?
The one that really sticks to my mind is the Clemson game where Fields takes a snap, steps up into the pocket, and seems like he's off balance, just chucks it to the end zone, just perfectly to CO2 for a touchdown.
Yeah, he had a few of those this year where he had no right to throw the ball as well as he did, and he did. Nomad says the Jackson Smith Ninjimba toe tap in the back of the end zone. That was a relatively inconsequential touchdown, but pretty nonetheless. Get style points out of that. Yeah, those are both really good answers. I'm just going to roll with you guys on that. I don't know. You could. I don't know. I'm going to let you guys have the answers on that one, because we need to, like I said, move forward on these.
The favorite defensive play. I really do like seeing Haskell Garrett getting a big man touchdown.
Of course.
Yes.
That's
I know there probably isn't too much to choose from last year.
Yeah. The Hilliard INT against Northwestern was good. You guys are coming up with way better answers than me. My brain's not functioning correctly today.
All right.
I've not been feeling great all weekend, and that leads to not sleeping great. And my brain's on like 6 right now.
Well, I'll help you out here. So, Nomad here. A couple more questions. Why can't you divide a number by 0?
Because that's not how it works. Like you can't
divide by something you don't have.
Well, the idea of dividing something is you take a thing and you split it into equal parts, and then you, like if you take a pie, you divide it into equal parts, and then you hand out the slices of the pie. But if there's nowhere to give the pie to, then it just doesn't work. You can't. Now, you might divide it by 1, in which case you just give someone an entire pie, but you can't give none of the pie. It's not how it works.
Math. All right. Another question here. Who is the big bad in WandaVision?
The witch.
Maybe not. Maybe
the
not.
Government? Are we saying the government?
No, it's something else. But
okay. Well, no spoilers.
No spoilers. So shush. All right. Austin. Let's answer the last 2 questions from Nomad. Why doesn't my 8-year-old listen?
Sounds like bad parenting.
Oh, Jared said it, not me, Nomad. Jared said it. All right. And he asked, cold sake or hot sake?
I've never had.
I never had one, so I can't really tell. You tell me.
I'm sure
Nomad.
I've had sake at some point. It's just I'm a pretty boring drinker when it comes to liquor. I spend all of my nerd energy on beer. When it comes to liquor, it's either like bourbon because I like bourbon, or vodka because I want to feel warm and nothing else. So I buy cheap vodka and good bourbon, and that's about as far as I go with my liquor. That's I'm pretty boring as far as that goes.
You answer your own question then, Nomad.
Yeah.
Do you like cold or hot sake?
I don't have an opinion.
I can't say. I've never had sake, so I can't really.
Maybe I'll just say room temperature just to be contrarian and pick a third way. Depends on the menu. What? You can't waffle out of your own question. You can't waffle out of your own question. You know what? We're moving on. All right.
Austin formation. Last question here. Is there a number of days in a row that it's too much to eat the same type of food?
No. I feel like if money was not an object for me, or if health was not an object for me, I'd have bacon every day. I would be perfectly happy about that.
Same type of food. I don't know. For me, well, I know my wife would be after 1 day is too much. But
I could eat chicken every day just because there's 1,000 ways to make.
I would say probably after like maybe a week. After a week, it would probably I'd be done eating it. Like, I get like burgers, but every burger would have a different Mad Canadian seasoning on it.
That's integration right there.
Maybe after a week.
I'm I can go when I'm really trying. I can go straight up Spartan with my eating habits. When I bought my first house, I was desperately trying to save money for a down payment, and I basically ate tuna every day for a year, almost every day for an entire year. It can be done, and I didn't die of mercury poisoning. I'm right here. I'm fine. So before anyone, that was many years ago. I'm fine. Yeah, I can do it. If, like I said, if I'm being real disciplined and if I'm hating myself enough, I can go real Spartan like with my eating.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is that all the questions, Kyle?
I think that is all for today.
All right. That's it.
Yeah. And if you, the listener, want to ask a question, join us on Discord.
Yes.
Join us on Discord. The link, as Jared loves to say, is down in the doobly-doos.
Yes.
Join us. We're a big family here. We talk a lot about basketball games going on. We still talk a lot about football in the chats here.
Food, beer. We have a book club.
Oh, book club. Ooh.
We do have a book club. Hold on. Wait a minute. I'm going to announce. Oh, we have a winner. This month's book will be Contact by Carl Sagan. That's the March book. I'm announcing it right now. I'll throw an extra vote at it just to make sure it's extra true. Yeah, this month's book, March's book, will be Contact by Carl Sagan. There you go.
All right. I think that's all. I'm kind of looking at last minute things here. I'm not really seeing anything else here. So I think we can end today's episode, Jared.
I'll say this, and I'm not giving it away for free, but there's been some really great Nevada nuggets lately about what's happening in the winter workouts.
Including a 5-star.
Ooh. So you just saying, if you're not on the Buckeye scoop, you might want to jump on the Buckeye scoop. Mm-hmm. Now more than ever. Some people think, it's not football season anymore. That's when you really need it. Everyone's got scoops during football season. You need the scoop during the off season to get the good stuff.
The off season is who separates from the pack.
Yeah. That's why Kyle and I never stop recording.
Get aboard that train.
I don't know what that was, but all right. All right. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the episode. As Kyle said, join us on the Discord. You can ask us Sloopcast questions there. You can also send a Sloopcast question to sloopcast@gmail.com. That's assuming Google doesn't if they stop asking me to change my password every day. Google. If anyone at Google's listening to this, stop it. I threw myself off with that one. Just visit the sloopcast.com. You can find all of our links there, links to our social media pages, links to our Patreon page. Kyle, if we get enough Patreon money, and I think we're like 60 some percent of the way there, I think we're like maybe right at 2/3 of the way there. We will start doing the episode twice a week we'll start doing the show 2 episodes a week during the off season and 5 episodes a week during the football season. And we're like 60 some percent of our way to that goal. So you can get early episodes. You can join Nomad and the other guys down there in the live chat. You get premium access to our Discord, which includes all of the great things Kyle already talked about, but also there's a dedicated recruiting page that's behind the Discord paywall. You get preferential treatment when we do the Ask Sloopcast questions. There's a health and fitness. There's a investing area. We talk a lot of cryptocurrency and occasional stocks and a little bit about life insurance sometimes, because why not? We talk about a lot of stuff in the investment area.
Yeah. Or if you want to help us in different ways, check out all of our t-shirts and other stuff here. Like you can get a nice hoodie or t-shirt of our off-brand of the Buckeye Sloopcast logo here.
Parody. Legally, it is a parody.
I did say t-shirt, Nomad. Yes.
Yes. I'm wearing a 7071 Brewing Company t-shirt, which isn't a real brewery, but is a real t-shirt. So there you go. You can find that at 7071.thesloopcast.com. And you can find the official Sloopcast merch at merch.thesloopcast.com. And like I said, you can find all these links at thesloopcast.com. It's just a landing page where you find a bunch of other links. That's all that is. So with all that being said, nope, jumped way too far ahead on that one. Kyle, do you have anything for Kyle's Corner? Hey, Nomad, be thinking of a band.
Ooh. I actually came unprepared for this, Jared. I apologize.
How dare you come unprepared as I look up music in case Nomad doesn't deliver.
Hey, let's talk about track and field. That was a big thing that was going on during the Big Ten championship. It was a big day for
neither Crosby, Stills, or Nash are from Ohio.
Ohio State sprinter Tyler Johnson won both the 200 and the 400 meter, and also helped Ohio State with the 4x4 as well. And I believe that 4x4 was a Big Ten record. I believe it was.
The idea, Nomad, is to highlight small bands from the state of Ohio.
Mm-hmm. His 400 meter in his normal race of 400, he broke the Big Ten indoor championship record by a quarter of a second. He ran it in 45:07, which was the fastest time in the nation this season. So the fastest time this season for indoor track and field.
That is amazing. Kyle, is there a difference between indoor and outdoor as far
there
as?
Is. Yeah, the indoor, the track's a lot smaller. It's not a full 400 meters to run a whole loop. It's a lot shorter.
Okay. So how does that affect like records and all of that, or records?
They're just held differently. Like it's 200 indoor, 200 outdoor. They're different.
Now, so for 200, you'd have to take a turn indoor, but not outdoor? Or would you still have to take a turn?
You have to make multiple turns in indoor. The outdoor, you start on the curve and then you just go around the curve and then the straightaway. The indoor, it's 2 turns.
So it is different.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I was trying to decide if I wanted to be mad about the fact that the records were different or not. So inside my own head, that was me deciding not to complain.
I totally forget. Okay. So it is half. It is half. I wasn't sure if it was some odd number, but no, it is exactly half the size of a normal outdoor track. It's 200 meters. I thought it was something odd, but nope, it's exactly half.
All right. All right. I see Nomad typing. This is your one. Small wood house. Yeah, it's said. Is that a band from Ohio? And which one of those is the band? Don't know how to go. Oh, no. I'm sorry, Nomad. You had to Google it? I play Ohio music on this show every day for how long? And you just don't have a favorite? You had to go to Google? No, you've been denied. You've been denied. You're suspended from offering music suggestions for 1 month. That's it. You've been suspended. I'm not in charge. Yes, I am. I'm not in charge of these things. I'm sorry. But that's just the fact of the matter. You've been suspended. Ending today's show will be the Wet Darlings. So you can check them out. They are an Ohio-based band. They are small, and they do deserve your attention. So you can check the show notes to find the name of the song. The name of the band, once again, is the Wet Darlings. So you can check that out. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is the Wet Darlings.
How dare you, Nomad?
How dare you, good sir?
And he left.
Now I feel bad.
He gone.
Now I feel bad. He knows I'm kidding. I hope.
He says he'll go sit in a corner now.
Oh, that's funny. Nomad knows I love him. It's all good.
Yep.
He's a mod, for Pete's sake. I wouldn't have made him a mod if I didn't like him.
So we're in fake spring right now, Jared. Is that
Yeah, we're experiencing fake spring in Ohio, but I don't watch the news or pay attention to the weather that much, but I think I heard that that's officially ending as of Sunday night. Yes. But yeah, we got a little bit of fake spring. All the snow melted, so we'll just take that as a win for now.
Nice. Sorry, Sankar. That's all the that's all the weather talk you're going to get is this little bit at the end.
Hopefully he sticks around. I don't think he listens. I don't think he watches on YouTube. Is he still in the room? I know he was in the room. Is he still in the room?
He wasn't at all.
No, he was. He was in the room at one. He was in the live. Yeah, I don't think he chatted much.
Yeah, just the chat. Yeah.
But he was in there listening.
Yeah. Got it.
I think he listens. I don't think he watches the YouTube version, so he's not going to see or hear any of this. So we're just talking about someone who's a fan of the show, and they'll never know. They'll never know about it because I think he just does the audio version.
Got it.
Only the YouTube and Discord people get this section of the show.
All right, let's go ahead and end today's episode.
Oh, for Pete's sake, let's end the episode. Once again, I'd like to thank the Wet Darlings for ending today's episode. And I'd once again like to thank the Iron Bean Coffee Company for sponsoring today's episode. The Iron Bean Coffee Company is an Ohio-based micro roaster. All of their beans are freshly roasted to order. Hold on 1 second. Hey, Paula. What are you doing? Leave LG alone. He's such a butt to her sometimes. Sorry, Iron Bean Coffee Company. The Iron Bean Coffee Company is an Ohio-based company. We'll start over. It's fine. I may or may not cut this out of the audio-only version of the show. And I definitely won't cut it out of the YouTube version of the show because y'all get this unfiltered. The Iron Bean Coffee Company is an Ohio-based micro roaster. They're based out of Perrysburg, Ohio, which is near Toledo, if you do not know. All of their coffee is roast to order, so you get the freshest possible coffee. It doesn't sit in a warehouse. It doesn't sit on a shelf. It doesn't sit in the back room of the No, you order it, then it's roasted, then it's shipped to you. Roast to order coffee. You can get it in whole bean to get it even fresher. But if you're getting it ground, if that's just, home grinding just isn't a thing that you do, that's fine because even then, you're getting it as fresh as possible. It's almost like grinding it yourself because you're getting it delivered and it was just ground a couple of days ago. Once again, it's not hanging out in a warehouse. So roast to order is, if your coffee is not roast to order, then what are you even doing with your life? That's what I want to say. Aside from that, it's also fair trade certified and USDA organic. I need to tighten my microphone up. It's really bugging me. We are limping to a finish on this episode. Integrity is their core value. That's why the coffee is so good, because they do everything right. They're single farm origin coffeed, and like I said, they're USDA organic and they're fair trade, and the coffee's fresh. All of that amazing stuff is why the coffee's so good. They do it because it's the right thing to do, and at the end of the day, it also makes the coffee really great. You can find so many amazing coffees there. They have some flavored ones. They're mostly unflavored, but if flavor's your thing, you can get the unicorn. And what's in the unicorn, I don't know, neither do you. You never know what's in the unicorn. Sometimes they'll tell you, but most of the time, it's just a surprise. You never know. They also have the Mom's Carrot Cake, the Intense Blueberry, and the Mint Chocolate Chip, if flavored coffees are, like I said, a thing that you're into. No idea what my microphone's doing right now. All those things and more can be found at the ironbeancoffeecompany.com. That's Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster.
This episode was also brought to you by our good friends over at the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Let's talk about some of the rubs here over at the madcanadianbbq.com. We go into the ribs section. What does he have for us if we want to grill up some ribs? So he has here the old fashioned. It mimics the classic drink of the old fashioned, sweet, bourbony, and has the right kick of bitter. You can go with the Discord. It's a pretty spicy seasoning, very similar to his Four Horsemen, but been tested by our good friends over in our Discord. He says here it's similar to the Four Horsemen, but has a sweeter base. He says it's great for chickens or ribs. Or you can go with the Coffee and Q. It's coffee and it's barbecue. What could you go wrong with that? It's great on beef, poultry, and pork. And the coffee part is actually part of or from the iron coffee, more so the cast iron from the Iron Bean Coffee Company. Or the last one he has here for a rib seasoning is the Two Border. It's his flagship seasoning. So this is a good one if he's calling this one his flagship. It's a great mix of maple sugar, red pepper flakes, and he uses it on all of his ribs in his food truck. Gives it a clean, crisp, sweet flavor, while that red pepper flake adds the just right amount of heat to your pork. It's also great for breakfast, such as eggs and bacon. Be sure to check out those and much, much more over at themadcanadianbbq.com. Again, that is themadcanadianbbq.com. Be sure to use that promo code SloopCast10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where he has your butt covered.
Kyle, before we go, Austin jumped in the chat right at the end of the show just to say, #fire Kevin Warren. And you know what?
Indeed.
We agree.
Yes.